Craig, thank you and welcome to the Business Advisory Show.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate, and particularly at Xero and sticking around. It's been a big couple of days.
Yeah, it's huge. We've still got a couple of hours to go yet, though.
Yeah. What our purpose of this show is really to hopefully inspire accountants and bookkeepers to pursue business mastery with more confidence, get great case studies, champions that are doing it really well, evidence what they're up to, and share that with the community worldwide. What do you believe is the opportunity and, dare I say, the challenge for accountants and bookkeepers for the next couple of years ahead?
Accountants and bookkeepers traditionally are functional experts in the work that they do. So how do we take it from what they're functionally experts at today to what small business might need as they go into the future, rather than looking at the functional tax compliance piece today? So there's a lot around the soft skill part. How do you ask the right questions? How do you listen for things? And how do you give the best advice as AI and machine learning and things kind of kick in at speed, which it kind of hasn't really got to that point yet, but you can kind of see that it's coming soon. How do you maximise that opportunity that's in front of you to actually unlock the IP that accountants and bookkeepers have? Because you still have this massive business acumen that business owners don't have. They're accidental entrepreneurs sometimes. They have an idea or a passion and soon it turns into a business and they don't know how to run it properly. So there's still a massive opportunity for accountants to be able to slip into that more. So not just the top 10% of your client base, but how do you get down to 50% of your client base? And for that you need more time, right? So that's where machine learning and AI comes in to take care of some of that work for you, so it can free you up to have a bigger impact for small business.
Yeah. And what I find really interesting is that there's the camp that really understands Xero in terms of bookkeeping and accounting, and then there's the outside world that's still the late adopters or the never adopters. Now they misperceive that Xero's doing all this stuff directly for the SME. Yeah, but that's just natural innovation. I'd like you to share a bit about how passionate your organisation is about the collaboration between accountants and bookkeepers for small business.
It takes a village to raise a business. It's not just about the advice the accountant can give. It's not just about the SME having a great business idea. It takes collaboration. And we see us hiding in the background to be able to have a collaboration platform between the getting great advice at the right time with the best impact, and that's where the accountant comes in, and the bookkeepers too. So we've been really passionate right from the start that the community is vital for our success. It's the number one go-to-market strategy for us, and everything is held centrally around the accountants and bookkeepers at the core of everything. They are our conduit to excellence, of course, because we're a small business product too. But majority of the work that accountants and bookkeepers do are on Xero Blue, as in the same product that the small business operator goes into. So the stuff that we're putting in place for the small business is actually helping the accountants do their work that they need to do anyway. So it's exactly the same product most of the time. So we're trying to help everybody, but ultimately we're taking accountants and bookkeepers on a journey to be able to have the most impact and ultimately get better enjoyment out of the work that they do every day, we hope.
Yeah, I'm personally genuinely concerned for the 45 and over accounting profile and bookkeeping profile, because if they're not already in this community or on this journey, they may really truly not understand how far behind they might suddenly be in a few short years.
Yeah, so I don't think it's an ageist thing.
No.
So maybe the persona of 45 and over, but we've got a few 70 plus that are true champions with Xero and adopt multiple different cloud solutions and are away laughing. So, and some early 20s that don't get it yet. So I don't think it's so much an age thing. It's just a mindset. And when they're ready, they're ready. We'll focus on the accountants that are getting it, and then soon enough, that accountant that's not getting it will have a client come in and say, "Hey, time to get on Xero. You better learn it." And that's how things move usually in the new markets that we go. So,
yeah. Absolutely. What do you think is the opportunity to become a digital advisor or a tech stack advisor? Is that as significant as some are saying it might be? Because it seems like it could be.
Yeah, the key is could. I personally honestly think it is a massive opportunity at the moment. So there is, when you look at the slightly larger businesses, so mid-sized businesses at say 40 million plus turnover, those ones have quite a lot of infrastructure or support with traditional, say, Microsoft businesses, integrated businesses that are able to build bespoke solutions for them, right? But they pay through the nose for that. What I'm kind of keen on is how do we democratise that technology optimisation and bring it down to small business, right? So the app integration piece for a business that's running a corner shop with 3 different apps, but they're not technologists, so how do they know how to plug things in and do it right? Because we know if you set it up right, it flies, but it creates a lot of friction if it's not done right. So accountants and bookkeepers are right in the sweet spot for us to be able to solve those problems today for small business. But it takes an internal champion to be able to actually realise within the practice that there is an opportunity. They become that expert and go-to for everything. But you need to look after that person and make sure it's not a single source of failure, because if that person then gets a better offer to go somewhere else, your whole revenue stream and opportunity that you've been selling to your clients is gone. So it needs to be start with one, but then you need to be able to start having more people that are able to have the conversation. And it's quite daunting, right? Because there's 800 apps that are part of our ecosystem now, and you don't know where to go sometimes. So you just got to pick a small amount that understand your clients' needs first and foremost, and which verticals they operate in. Pick the best ones that you think are right for you. Get to know those ones first and foremost to build your confidence.
It seems that the firms that niche into particular industry sectors also seem to get the jump in terms of their intel and their scalability.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't matter what market you're in, right? Because this going into the cloud, and particularly with Xero, means that you're a global player from day one. So if you have that mindset, not just looking after clients in your neighbourhood, then you can go really niche and tell that story incredibly well to be able to attract customers from all over the world to be potentially on your platform and solving their problems digitally for them. We're 55% market penetrated in cloud accounting and Xero in New Zealand at the moment. For us to go any further, we have to be completely verticalised in our messaging and our service offering that we go with.
Interesting.
So we've done agri, construction, and just launched retail. But the message for agri is different to retail, right? And historically, we've been a vertical solution or a horizontal solution that sits across all industries. And we're able to go big across with a broad messaging. But now we actually have to be really specific on the message so that we can speak specifically to a business owner about the core problem that they're having today within the retail organisation or within the construction business, to be able to continue to go past that 55% market penetrated piece, which is really quite challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Without getting into the detail, because nobody wants to deliver a keynote twice in 2 days, particularly one that was emotion charged.
Hell no.
But I want to congratulate you, because we were just interviewing Jason Robinson, who's a young star in the Australian accounting community, followed by many and recognised by the whole industry. And he said his whole team of 14, welled up a bit yesterday, as did some of our crew as well. So you really told a great story. For the small business owners and their last bastion of advice, which is accountants and bookkeepers today, how important is it that we actually step up as an advisory community and actually, really have a more holistic sort of methodology around, mental health and well-being and the overall well-being of our clients?
It's imperative. Where you're in a position of, I had a wellbeing panel just before, you're in a position of power because you're right at the coalface of some pretty tricky stuff that people go through, which can be really daunting for them to navigate through. So you're almost having those advisory counselling type conversations already, but it's knowing how far to go and where you can direct people and having a security blanket around you. But as my keynote was talking around, the health outcomes across New Zealand and Australia towards mental health are shocking. Some of the worst in the world. The staunch, she'll be right, there's nothing wrong with me, I'll just get on with my day, days are over. So I took the opportunity to take a stand and share my rather raw story to give confidence that you're not alone. You have an opportunity to tell your story, and together we can have better outcomes, change lives, and potentially even save one, which would be awesome. And it makes all of the nerves and the dauntedness of me going on stage yesterday worthwhile. Yeah,
and look, I've only recently spoken out. My last 4 or 5 years have had all sorts of battles, which was basically to do with a failed marriage, but what it was mentally and emotionally, unbelievably dark times. So I know exactly what that's like. What do you think the future is like for small business owners that aren't necessarily aware of, the opportunity with technology? Are they potentially going to find life a bit harder in the next few years?
Short answer is yes. comes back to time, right? So small businesses are always struggling to be able to find time to get all the jobs done that they need to do. Majority of them are jack of all trades and trying to work until 11, 12 o'clock at night to get the last bits done, final bit of invoicing to get through so that they can get paid, and then they've got families and lives outside of, and it all kind of gets a little bit too much sometimes. Technology, ultimately, if you get it right and use the right vertical solutions that talk seamlessly and you're not having to enter things more than once and it just flows through the systems for you, that will give you time back. And once you have time and a data set, it will give you insights, which gives you confidence. Because as soon as you know what's coming or what's there, you can have plans to be able to mitigate those. And if you're able to have an accountant and bookkeeper that can actually articulate things of what's happening and have a bit of foresight into the future, then that's business utopia, right? You've got confidence of the community of purpose around you, which is the theme of the conference that we're at the moment. But it's that village that's able to come around and at the right, like they have right advice at the right time for the right reasons. You can change the trajectory of any business and hopefully dig people out of holes.
Yeah, that's great insight. I think that the interpersonal skills of accountants and bookkeepers are going to become incredibly important, because there's really only two camps, aren't there? From an SME's point of view, there's I'm aware of tech and I'm embracing change and continuous improvement, or I'm just doing it the hardest of ways and I'm showing up every day hoping it's going to get better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's some that are getting forced to adopt technology and they're resistant to the full opportunity that's in front of them, so they're resenting it, or they, like me, sausage fingers and don't know how to use technology properly, and it gets frustrating. But ultimately we're creatures of habit, right? We know what we know and we try and pick up the processes that we were doing yesterday and put it into the new world of technology, and that's not how it works. You need somebody to be able to hold your hand and show you the new way of doing things, so that it's actually a aha moment and holy crap, it can do that. But if you try and fumble through yourself, you're never going to get there, because you only adopt 10% of the functionality. So actually having that accountant and bookkeeper to be able to help walk you through the step-by-step process of adoption is vitally important.
Yeah, and this is a disruptive type of question for our community, the accounting industry. But if a business owner is not getting that sort of progressive and provocative consultation about the tech for their business, what should they do?
Yeah, well, ultimately what I'd love for them to know is, what does excellence look like in the profession first, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. You're a small business owner and you think you're keeping out of jail by having your compliance done. That's what awesome looks like, right? So sometimes, whereas actually it goes a little bit further than that. So if we're able to actually start highlighting what awesome accounting advisory services look like for the wider community, then a small business owner can be sitting at home going, hey, I'm not getting that. Why am I not getting that? Ask the question to your accountant why you're not. And sometimes it's a price thing, that actually they just haven't had the conversation to say, yes, actually we do offer those kind of services, this is what it looks like. But sometimes it's just a case of having that conversation around, did you know? And they're like, holy crap, no, I didn't know that. Well, here's an offering that I might be able to do for you. Because the one thing I hear over and over and over again from the profession is that they're not salespeople. Yeah. And they don't like selling.
It's a great excuse.
It is a beautiful excuse. Yeah. But ultimately what you're doing is highlighting an opportunity, and then people will ask for it and you don't have to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favourite thing about your current role, and perhaps secondly, what's the most challenging thing that you see for your current role?
The fact that I can elevate up out of Xero and focus on New Zealand Inc. So if we had the office opening in Auckland a little while ago, and we had our Prime Minister was able to come along and open it. And one of the quotes that she used was, if Xero's going well, the small business economy is going well, and the small business economy is going well, New Zealand's doing well. So like that, I can actually elevate up, see the impact that we're able to have from an economy-wide perspective, it's a pinch moment.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, isn't it? Yeah.
It's pretty special, and being at home, Xero was born and raised out of a little set of rocks in the South Pacific, and that I'm able to lead that business is pretty humbling, and daunting at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose the most challenging part of what I do is that I want shit to be going faster, and it's frustrating when it's not. When I can see the opportunity and where we're going, and the energy that's in the room that we've got downstairs at Xerocon is electric. but it dissipates into daily life really fast. When you get the blinkers on and the tasks and the compliance work you have to do, when you get back in front of your computer in your offices and you forget where you need to go and have actually time to sit back and be more strategic. And I'd love to be able to have bigger impact than what we're having today. We're still having a big impact, but I'd love to be able to have more. So
yeah, because it's intoxicating being here, and I think a lot of the attendees, they go back to a different existence, don't they, in terms of day to day, and I can see the RBKs or Jason's business, the dynamic ones. Really, it's a bit like the rich getting richer. They're going to be really robust and really dynamic, and somehow we've got to help, encourage, assist, and see.
Rise the tide of all boats, right? Yeah. Absolutely, and that comes down to capability, insight, vision, capability, opportunity to be able to help, and that's like the Xero team here in Australia are massive to be able to do that. So the support's there if you want it, but you got to want it. Otherwise, if you try and make an accountant do something, they're not going to do it. So they've got to be ready, and then the support is there to be able to take you on that cloud journey. So if anyone's listening that's ready to rock and roll, then now's the time to reach out. With tech adoption going through the roof, single touch payroll is a once in a generation opportunity to be able to drive as many small businesses in Australia to a digital economy. Now is your time to be able to step up and create the future for your firm. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, look, it's a strange comment, I guess, but I believe that Xero has perhaps commoditised business advisory for small accounting and bookkeeping firms. Traditionally this was something that, Big Four or KPMG could probably have a dedicated division, but now it's a real legitimate opportunity. Yeah,
and the little guys can whip the big boys' butt in that space, right? Because it's about people and it's about empathy and not treating people like a number. So I think that's something that I think as a mid to small practice, you kind of take for granted of play to your strengths.
Yeah, one passing comment. What's the most important thing for the next 3 years for accountants and bookkeepers?
I think it's genuinely people. Technology is going to continue to innovate and continue to challenge people, but it's up to people to be able to take that technology and make it real for people and for businesses across both New Zealand and Australia, right? So the opportunity is massive. But if we don't treat people like individuals and really show them the way, then we'll fail as a business, I think, and fail as an economy too.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well done.
Cheers, John.